Can you believe I'm doing this over again? I wasn't happy with it, so I'll try it again. Here we go. Yes, of course, Your Honor. Herschel's talking. We're with the court scene with the cat, the cat's friends, Pepper, Jacob, Herschel, and then all the lawyers and the people for Annex Systems, including Marissa and Dennis Fairbanks. Yes, of course, Your Honor. Mr. Fairbanks, is it not true both Mr. Phelps and Mr. Marino were not just friends, but practically best friends at work, and you knew if they were to team up together for this theft, it would be easier to catch the thief while simultaneously catching the location for all their fines?
Well, I'm not sure what...
Let me spell it out for you. You were hoping to see on tape the moment Mr. Marino let Elise and Jacob out of the front entryway. The way you wanted to see things was that the retrieval of original properties wasn't a noble mission of justifiable amends, but that you and yours were the target of a bunch of petty, anti-corporate, anti-company, disgruntled ex-employees. Objection! Overruled. You wanted Mr. Moreno to be caught on video, to be seen as just another lowlife seeking revenge on the company in any way these three musketeers could finagle from the depths of their unemployed and minimum wage landscape. Without even calling Mr. Marino in for much of any questioning, you wanted essentially what the cloudy video gave you. A justification for firing the last supporter of the rightful owners of the autism formula. The formula, as it became known as. You wanted to be rid of, once and for all, anything, anyone who couldn't fit into your politically narrow construct of acceptance to corporate rule. Objection! Overruled. No further questions, Your Honor. There was a decision by the court to take a break, but only for 30 minutes. Upon resumption of the proceedings, it was given to Herschel, his choosing, of the next witness. The court assistant swore in Hector Marino. Please raise your right hand. You affirm to swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I do, Hector responded. So help me God. Zippers whispered, So God? Help him. Jacob winked at Zippers. Unable to wink back, Zippers blinked both eyes quickly. Herschel approached. Could you state your name? Hector Samuel Marino. And what do you do, Mr. Marino? Well, I'm currently unemployed, but for the past 11 and a half years, I was the principal night watchman for Annex Systems of Burbank, California. I oversaw at least 9 or 10 intern and fellow and full-time watchmen and watchwomen during that time, and I was the solo watchman for the past 3 years there. Mr. Marino, I know you're suffering a great deal due to your current unemployment status, so I'll try to not only keep this brief, I'll try to get to the point on why you were let go from the Annex Systems company. I appreciate that, but there is no need for concern. I can handle my own affairs. Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Marino, offered Herschel. Now, let's get to the occasion of the so-called golden parachute you were given upon notice of your termination only days after the fiasco of the break-in. Were you, in fact, granted the reverence and respect of this mentioned golden parachute? Did this seem like some sort of polite gesture from management at Annex Systems while they dismissed you permanently? Hector cleared his throat to answer without hesitation. Well, this so-called golden parachute was a label or term the company letter, the employee company newsletter used at least 5 or 6 times in the lower front page article, explaining to everybody why they'd soon be feeling the absence from the establishment. You see, when people went home at 5 or 6 p.m., I was already there to say goodnight to them. For some reason, I got into the habit of getting to work just a little bit earlier than necessary, just so as I could get to know some of the people whose jobs and offices I was protecting. I found it made the lonely hours of walking these dimly lit hallways, of checking the video monitors, of doing what I could for my pay, it would mean something more than just, protecting the walls and safes. Hector continued. But as far as an airplane chute or parachute, I guess they call it, I was thrown a bone and asked to jump after it, basically. $1,000. The amount of my severance was never shared in the employee newsletter, incidentally. I see. And your dedication was appreciated by many, I am sure, sir. Now, as to the night of the robbery, were you clued in as to Jacob and Elise's plans to break in before the occurrence? Did they tell you anything at all about this beforehand? Not at all, Hector answered again without hesitation. When I heard their fireworks go off, I was as shocked as anyone at that hour would have been, or anybody else on staff. Then, continued Herschel, why is it you appear to be letting the doors open for the thieves? Even after it's apparent you did try to stop them, at least upon your first encounter? Because, Hector sighed a deep sigh as he answered the question, as you've already seen, the people trying to paint these 2 young folks as hardcore thugs made sure you didn't see the video moments shortly after when I pulled my poor excuse for a knife on Jacob, who I first saw as an anonymous first-degree thief. How do you mean, Mr. Marino? I mean this, if the video would be allowed to roll in its entirety, you'd maybe not hear any dialogue, but you would have surely seen me not only lower my little weapon, but engage in conversation with this intruder for a good 5 minutes or so. And why was this? Because, as the plaintiff has admitted, once the burglar had removed his mask and told me who he was, I listened further and heard in a short span of time why he and Pepper went to such lengths to get in there, doing what they were doing. Pepper being the nickname for Elise Tarpon of the defense. Exactly, yes, that's what we all, her best friends, call her. And you're a friend. Yes, I am. I've always been respectful of management, the people who sign my paycheck, but the workers, the people who do the day-to-day creativity there, they've always treated me differently. Better in a way. I'm sorry, but now that this has all gone down like a Mexican standoff, I can be more candid. I've already cashed that $1,000 on my rent. I'm not exactly fond of the way we've been treated there in retrospect. But, Mr. Marino, your job was to call the police when a break-in or robbery occurs. I know, and I did, eventually. But when Jacob pulled his mask off and in about 3 or 4 minutes explained what he and Pepper were doing, actually, I couldn't be a stooge for the company. I just couldn't. I had to make a quick decision. I believed Jacob. To this day, I don't regret my decision. I'll close off there for now. Let's see. You can get this book by going to gulleroodbooks.com. Good night.